Today I have the pleasure of having two guests in studio. I'm joined by Charles Odhiambo, a journalist. Right next to me, welcome to the program.
Thank you very much.
Right next to him is Jeff Kuria, radio presenter in Noro FM. Welcome to the program as well.
Thank you, Waihiga.
Gentlemen, let's get straight into today's content. Fresh presidential elections, it's now official. They are taking place tomorrow. Some have said that they will offer Kenya's media a chance to redeem themselves after they were accused of bungling the coverage of the August 8th poll. Do you think media is ready to seize that opportunity? Do you see differences between how media covered the August 8th poll and what they will do tomorrow? I could start with you, Charles.
First of all, I would love to know, has the Supreme Court decided that they are not hearing this case that was presented before them today? Because we still have the whole
couple
afternoon,
of hours.
And anything is possible. We need to be alive to that fact.
Okay.
So depending on the date and the time the Office of the Registrar gives, we can still say tentatively, yes, we are having an election tomorrow.
So whenever that election will take place, whether tomorrow or next week or next month, from what you've seen, having worked in a media house for a long time, have you seen an attempt for media to reform itself after August 8th and where we are now?
The more the media has tried to reform itself, the deeper it's dug the hole within which it's sinking. I always tell people one thing. Before you look at the media, and I'm talking about the Kenyan media, look at the person in the media, the reporters, the cameramen, the editors, the sub-editors. They're all Kenyans. They belong to one ethnic community or another. They come from one geographical location or another. Our politics is so geo-based and ethno-based that you cannot take it away from the most learned Kenyan. Look at commentaries on the media, on social media and everything. And so to me, the more we try to dig ourselves out of this hole as the media, the deeper we are sinking in.
Jeff, what's your take?
My take is one. We are living in a country where it's full of surprises. You wake up today, there is news, tomorrow there is news. But I believe so far as Kenyan media, we've tried our best in as much as we've had guys attacking media saying that we're not reporting what should be reported. But I think so far...
They've actually called us Githeri media.
Yes, but I think...
Don't you think we are?
I'm the one asking the question. Charles, I know Charles, you're used to asking questions. Go ahead.
I can't agree with Charles that we're Githeri.
You disagree with him?
I disagree with him totally because I think we have redeemed ourselves from 2007 to where we are now. Look at the coverage on 8th of August. I think we were not biased. We were able to cover the stories from both ends, NASA, Jubilee, wherever you are. I think so far we've done.
So what happened after the Supreme Court?
But we have other
after the Supreme Court judgment when media clearly did not show protests happening in parts of the country? Some say that they were biased by blacking them out.
I was for that idea. I was for that idea.
Oh, okay.
I was for that idea.
That's sorry, Jeff, but I think that's where we go wrong as a media. Who says when we cover NASA and we cover Jubilee, then we are being a responsible media? It's about the facts that we cover. I could cover a Jubilee rally and show people fighting, cover a NASA rally and show people celebrating, yet there was a fight next to, and I didn't cover it. Am I being objective?
Unfortunately, we live in a country where we are divided in political parties. So it is about two parties. We had how many presidential candidates?
8.
We had 8. How many were in the media? Everywhere, across. How many were in the media? 2 of them.
Largely just the
So that is why I'm
candidates.
saying it was a Jubilee NASA affair. My take, though.
I agree.
So has Jubilee NASA politics seeped into our media? And has that then affected our objectivity?
I think at some point, yes.
Okay.
In some media. But
not your station.
No, not our station. Not our Maybe Charles can tell us. But Charles
has,
is objective, I know.
It has seeped into our media. And my argument, my point of divergence with Jeff is not about NASA and Jubilee versus the rest. It's okay, we have the big parties, NASA and Jubilee. My issue was the fact that you cover NASA and Jubilee does not mean you're being objective, unless you look at what was covered. And I gave the example, if you cover a NASA rally showing people celebrating, they're being welcomed in a certain region, and you choose not to cover a part where they were heckled at the same rally, and then you go to Jubilee and choose to cover a place where they were heckled in a certain part, and choose not to cover a part where they were celebrated. You're not being objective. You know, the problem we have had, and I'm not saying everywhere, overall in the media, but selectively.
Yes.
People think because I've given NASA 7 minutes, I give Jubilee 7 minutes, then I'm balanced and objective. No.
It is
It's-
not
it's-
about,
it's
it is
a-
not
it's a
about
lot
the
deeper
minutes.
It
than
is
that.
not about the airtime you
Yeah.
give. It's about the issues that you present.
Okay. Immediately after the August 8th poll, I'm sure just like you, a lot of journalists got calls from their friends, their relatives, asking them, what are your people in the 290 constituencies saying about the results? Because there's a lot of confusion over forms 34A, 34B, and the numbers. Now, my question to you is, what do you expect from media this time around in terms of how it will cover the voting process? Of course, if the election happens tomorrow, again, as you've said rightly, Supreme Court has until the end of the day to give direction, if they will. Any boycotts, election transmission, what are you expecting to see from media collectively, Kenyan media, in terms of reporting?
Objectivity, again. Objectivity. Objectivity is key. But there's a question that my friend asked, is there an election? Because we have some parts that will participate in an election. We also have another part where they won't participate in an election.
In fact, how do you cover, do you give both sides equal airtime?
Yeah.
You know, or do you show a little bit more of those who are voting vis-a-vis those who are not? How, because those who are not voting ideally might be at home. So there might even be nothing to really show. How do you balance?
So what will you cover? If someone is at home, what will you cover?
Cover the polling station with nobody.
Empty polling stations.
This
idle
is a
IBC.
designated polling station.
And
these are the polling materials, but there is nobody who has stand up to
Yes.
vote. The electoral officials are seated here. There's security.
In a sense, Kenyan media is redefining a lot of how it does its coverage over the next 48 hours.
Yes.
And it's going to be very tricky.
ahead.
Although people are thinking about how we'll cover it, my question is, what is the safety of members of the media who will be asked to go to areas where there's a perception that people will not vote? That is what I'm more interested in. I mean, how will they even cover?
What happens to members of the press who show up in an area where people have refused to vote and they will be marked that they voted?
Yes.
Or those who go to areas where people are voting and they refuse to vote and thus no markings on their hands?
Most of them they can even be attacked.
Yes.
But it's not easy. You've seen it even in demonstrations where everybody has gear. A journalist doesn't have anything to cover himself.
And when you have it,
Yes.
the police arrest you
Yes.
and demand
And
that.
a
where did you
permit
get
or
this from?
license.
So it's not easy, but I think objectivity is key, as Charles
Okay.
said before.
Okay, well, big opportunity for Kenyan media. Let's see how they will handle that election tomorrow. Again, should it happen. Fake news is another factor that has really dominated this current election cycle. It was a big talking point around the August 8th poll, and it was, you know, you could see it at the MCA level, at the MP level, and etc. This time around, there's only one poll, a presidential poll. Do you still expect fake news to be a big factor tomorrow and in the days to come?
But of course, I think social media has taken this country by storm. Everybody now has a gadget. I was reading statistics saying that we have about 14 million people with smartphones.
Oh, 40 million people?
14 million with
Almost
smartphones.
more people than voters
So
at this rate.
so fake news will be part of us, and now it will be very hard for some of us to know, especially those people in the villages that are out there, to know what is the truth and what to believe and what not to believe. But as Kenyan media, again, we have a responsibility of reporting what is correct.
Okay.
But guys have to
Facts.
be out there, people have to be aware that there are fake news, and they have to be very, very careful.
The challenge with fake news is the mushrooming of more conventional media houses and competition among the media houses. We broke the story first.
Yes.
That is what is going to fund fake news. Of course, fake news is here with us to stay. It's in the West. It's coming here, considering the literacy levels in this country. The people who know how to tweet and how to Facebook and how to SMS are considered the elite. Yes. And so whatever they say is taken as Bible truth. And because the media, your media house wants to be the one that has broken the news, you will easily fall so that you are not left behind. The biggest competitor, the biggest competitor for conventional media, which will go a long way in fanning fake news, is social media.
Social media.
Yes.
Have you, either of you or your media outlets, ever been victims of fake news? And what are you doing to alert your viewers, your listeners, that listen, you need to be careful about some of the news you hear out there? I don't know if any of you has.
We are currently running a campaign on Ramogi FM about fake news,
Okay.
telling people, if you're not sure, don't resend it.
Okay.
Don't reshare it.
Okay.
And
Don't retweet.
if you don't retweet, and if you want to be sure, look at the dates,
Yes.
look at the finer details, look at the source, look at the timing. Like this morning, I was just looking at my phone, and there was some fake news about the IEBC chairman Chebukati saying that was not my signature in that Gazette notice, and they have the logo and identity of a leading media house in the country.
Wow.
So you'd easily fall for that.
Even Wenger fell for that.
Yeah, Wenger actually
Yes,
fell
yes,
for
yes,
George Weah.
George Weah.
George Weah.
Yes.
So fake
He was
news.
trending for a while online, you're right.
So
And former Prime Minister Raila Odinga
Yes.
fell for this.
Yes.
You remember?
So it's not.
There was there once a KWS advert, the only Simba
Exactly.
something else, that
Yes,
Raila Odinga
exactly.
also, one of his handlers misadvised him that...
And
you
he fell for
and
it.
He fell for it, and he went on air and spoke about
So
it.
you can imagine if someone like Raila, if someone like Wenger is falling for such kind of things, what will happen to our people there in the villages? Wow. So we are running a campaign as well, together with Ramogi, fake news. It is always important to verify.
Because there's actually a report going out right now
Yes.
that a bodyguard of a leading Supreme Court judge has passed on.
And one of the leading political figures in the country fell for it when he was live on air.
On air.
And
And
talked
now we're
about
hearing
it.
reports that it might not be true.
And send condolences.
Yeah.
My goodness.
That's
okay.
it's just,
Patrick Gadara, I'm sure a person familiar to both of you, is a cartoonist and media commentator. He has, in many articles, and in articles that have been printed internationally, accused Kenyan media of selling its soul during this election cycle. Do you think there's any truth?
which
to-
Kenyan media? What was he
or
talking
collectively,
about?
that we is it abdicated? I'm not a lawyer, so some of those terms might fail me. We failed in our duty to inform Kenyans about everything that happened in the run-up to August 8th, on the material day and thereafter. So he would give us a ranking or a rating of maybe 3 out of 10 or 4 out of 10.
From where I sit, I disagree with that. I disagree with that because I
Okay.
think
On what basis?
our duty is to inform and educate our people. So I think as Kenyan media, that is our job. That is our duty every morning. In as much as we've not been able to do it wholly, we've tried. I would
Well,
give
how
it,
do you rate Kenyan
I would,
media?
I would, I would do
Out of 10?
6 out of 10.
Where's the 4?
The 4 is somewhere. It's just somewhere.
It's just-
but,
it's
but
hanging
we are redeeming
in a
ourselves.
server?
Yes.
Okay.
hanging.
I would give the Kenyan media 5 out of 10.
You give a 5.
The other 5 goes to media ownership.
Okay.
The other 5 goes to professionalism in the media houses, the real people who are in operations. How professional are they? The other 5 goes to the issue of unemployment. I would rather do what my boss wants me to do than lose my job because
start tarmacking again.
Yes, exactly. And the other issue, like I said, media ownership. Do you realize most of the media, conventional media in Kenya today, is either owned by a political figure or somebody affiliated to a political inclination?
Okay.
And election times are political times.
Okay.
I cannot have a cow and I want it to give me water instead of milk. I will want milk from the cow.
Yes.
If I have a media house, it's for mass communication. Somebody is a friend to me, he's a politician, he influences 1 or 2 things for me because he knows during election time he'll benefit from.
Okay.
So those are the challenges. That's where I would put the 5. It's a bit harsh to judge the media the way Patrick did because you and I know at Troll Media we had put everything in place to make sure we have real-time reports from every constituency in this country, including some major polling stations. Yes. But what happened?
What went wrong?
The electoral officials starved our reporters of the vital information we needed.
Now, a lot of people don't know what you've just said. Do you think we made a mistake not broadcasting boldly that we were unable to get information from electoral officials on the ground?
We should have broadcast.
Maybe
we
that's
should
where
have
we made a mistake
that
as
noise.
media?
Yeah.
We should have. Actually, remember, even NASA was now blaming the media and saying, oh, the media did not announce the real results.
Because they did not have them.
We didn't have them. And that's why we were asking NASA. You people said you have servers in the cloud and everywhere. Give us those results. We will announce them. They didn't have them either.
I want to take you guys back to a report that was released on the 29th of June 2017. I think that was a good day for media because that report said that traditional media, which is where we are, enjoyed 88% approval rating as a trusted news source.
20? 29th?
29th of June, 2017. And we are now getting to we are almost at 29th of October. This is about what,
About 4 months.
About 4 months ago.
Yeah.
In 4 months, has this rating changed in your opinion?
Of course, it has changed.
For the better or for worse?
I think
Are we now at 90?
never. We are not at 90. We are not at 90.
Jeff, it depends on where the Twaweza guys do. It was Twaweza?
Twaweza, it was Twaweza.
It depends on
East
where
Africa.
they will do the survey.
No.
I can
Okay,
tell you for
okay.
free.
You
There
had
are
a number in
regions-
mind. What,
I don't think we can get to 80 again. But what I know is in the world, if you go to urban areas, most guys don't. When was the last time you watched news?
This morning.
He needs to say, he works here.
This morning. I don't want to lose my job.
But if you go to the rural areas, those guys, they watch news, they follow everything. But
So for them, it's
Yes.
we remain a trusted news source.
yes, so again, as Charles said, it depends with where they did their survey. If they went to the rural areas, they have the statistics going up. But if they went to urban areas, I think with our phones, with our social media and stuff, it is going to be hard.
Okay.
Yeah.
True that, but if you do an average of the whole country, I think we'll go down to about 65%.
About 65% approval rate, yes.
Yes.
As a trusted news source.
You know, Kenyan somehow, because most of our institutions and systems have not lived, I don't want to use the word failed, because failed is too harsh, have not lived up to expectation. They expect solutions from the media. That's why somebody will call a media house today and say, bibi yangu aliniwacha, nifanyeje? Somebody will call and say, polisi aliniitisha hongo, nifanyeje?
Are those the kind of calls you guys get?
Yes, my friend, you will be surprised.
They expect solutions
Put it
from
on their
media
domestic
houses.
issues.
Huh?
Even when it comes to political, they tell you, sasa hiyo station yanyu kwani ilienda wapi? That's a listener who is telling you that.
They want you to weigh in on
Yes.
that debate and help Kenyans find
Yes.
a way forward.
And for I'll give you the case of Ramogi, and I'll be very objective here. If you do not say what syncs with them, what syncs with Raila, you are doomed. Even if it's the truth,
Yes.
you are doomed. A very meager minority will stand with you, but a big majority, you will receive all forms of backlash.
What sort of challenges do the two of you face?
It's the same
that you,
thing.
that you would say is different from a reporter who's reporting for a station that's predominantly English and thus appeals to a wider base? What considerations do you have to have in mind?
Their expectations. Their expectations. They even ask you, are you not this person? Are you not from this tribe? Why? What are you trying to do? And maybe you're just trying to do your job.
Yes.
So this is one of the hardest jobs, being from this side or from that.
I'll give you an example.
Yes.
We had a campaign for a presidential candidate on Ramogi.
They had bought airtime
Yes,
for that.
and
Okay.
then we had to rethink our agreement with that campaign team because in one show, the show could not go on. It was a call-in show.
Yes.
Everybody who called, they were discussing about women involvement in leadership, but everybody who called was calling the presenter a sellout.
Asking why.
For running that advert.
And they don't even tell you anything. They just call and tell you, you are a sellout, and they hang up. The next call, you are a sellout, and they hang up. It was that bad.
So what did you do? You cut to commercials?
No, we had to try and explain to them.
Okay.
We actually had to get a counselor and counsel our audience on air and tell them, guys, here we are in a situation. We had to ask them, how many of you board vehicles that belong to your tribesmate?
Yes.
Do you ask a question?
When somebody gives you money, do you ask, "I pesa ni ya mkabila gani?"
You don't ask.
When you go for milk in the shop, when you want to make tea, do you ask, "I maziwa ni ya nani?" Do you realize everything else you use, almost everything else you use, belongs to somebody of a different divide? Why then do we have to bring this difference?
As we wind up, I'll give you each a minute each briefly to tell me about the future of Kenyan media. Where do you see us going in light of the political environment that we find ourselves in? What's our future like, Jeff?
I think we are headed somewhere.
A good place or a bad place?
It's
Kenyan media.
It's a good place. If we change, if even some of our listeners or some of our viewers will change how they see things, that is where we are headed. And I believe as of now, even my station where we are headed somewhere. Okay. It is about objectivity. If you're objective, because some of our listeners as well, we might have quite a number who thinks you should take a different route, but there are others who are looking for objectivity.
Okay.
So I believe in the next few years, because it is our job again and our responsibility to show them, to inform them, to educate them on where the country is headed. So I think and I believe we're headed somewhere. In the next few years, we'll be able to even take a stand.
As media.
As media.
And maybe that's that's a topic for another day.
Yes.
American media take stands all the time. They say whether
And nobody bashes.
and nobody bashes
Yeah,
them.
it's acceptable.
Charles, I can give you your parting shot.
We are headed somewhere, and we are headed somewhere very good, especially the conventional media.
Okay.
I say that because, and I want to equate this to a marathon and a 100-meter dash. Any objective conventional media house will outlive these challenges. It's like a marathon. Any non-objective conventional media house, which wants to go with the masses, my listeners want this, I'll give them this. It's like a 100-meter dash. They will fizzle out before they know it. The truth lives forever.
In a sense, I almost feel like this discussion should be watched by a lot more journalists out there.
Yeah.
In terms of helping them to shape how they do their coverage.